Hey everyone. So let's talk about the French Bulldog. I mean, you can't go anywhere without seeing one, right? They're all over our cities, our social media feeds. They're one of the most popular dogs on the entire planet. But there's a flip side. Behind all that cuteness, there's a really complex and, honestly, pretty troubling paradox that we absolutely need to get into.
And really, it all kicks off with this idea. This quote from Pooch and Mutt just nails it. The clowns of the dog world. I mean, how perfect is that? That irresistible, goofy personality, that's really the heart of their appeal, and it's the first piece of this whole puzzle.
Okay, so what is it about them? What's the magic formula that's made the Frenchie just explode in popularity? Let's dig in and break it down.
I mean, look at this list. It's basically a dream dog checklist, right? Sweet-tempered, super playful, loyal, and, well, just hilarious. These dogs were literally bred to be companions, and you can see why. These personality traits are a massive part of their success story.
And maybe their biggest secret weapon, especially for how we live today, is their adaptability. You know, they don't need a sprawling backyard to be happy. They're just as cool in a tiny city apartment as they are in a big house in the suburbs. The key for them? Just being with their family, being the center of attention. That's what makes them such a perfect match for so many different people.
Okay, but here's where the story takes a sharp turn. Because that cute, squishy face that we all find so incredibly endearing, well, it comes with a pretty heavy price. A biological one. The word you need to know is brachycephalic. It sounds complicated, but it just means short-headed. And it's not an accident. It's the result of us intentionally breeding them for that flat-faced look. The problem is, this one feature is the direct cause of so many of their most serious health problems. Think about that. The very thing we find cute is also the source of so much of their potential suffering. And this is where that central conflict really just slaps you in the face. You've got this amazing, lovable personality on one side, and on the other, this laundry list of serious health issues that are all tied back to their body shape. We're talking breeding problems, skin infections, overheating, and these aren't just, what ifs. For a lot of these dogs, this is their everyday reality. All right, so let's move beyond the general stuff and get into the actual numbers. Because a huge study, we're talking over 2,000 Frenchie owners, uncovered some really startling and pretty inconvenient truths about this breed's health. Just look at these numbers. Over a quarter of owners said their dogs had allergies. More than 15% were dealing with painful eye ulcers, and another 15% with those skin fold infections. But here's the real kicker. The average age of the dogs in the study was just over 2. These aren't old age problems. This is happening to really, really young dogs. And get this, nearly 1 in 5. That's the percentage of owners who said their dog had already had surgery to fix a problem caused by its own body, its conformation. We're talking about things like surgically widening their nostrils just so they can breathe properly. It's wild. And it doesn't stop there. Over a third of the dogs were reported to have trouble regulating their body heat. And listen, this isn't just a minor thing like feeling a bit too warm. It means they are incredibly vulnerable to deadly heat stroke. Why? Because those flat airways make it almost impossible for them to pant effectively and cool themselves down. So all of this brings us to the real core of this explainer, the psychological paradox. With this mountain of data showing all these health problems, what do the owners, the people who love them and live with them every single day, what did they think? So, we've seen the facts. We know the risks are real. How on earth do owners square that circle? How do they balance the dog they absolutely adore with the cold, hard reality of the breed's health crisis? Well, the answer might just shock you. And here it is. This, to me, is the single most jaw-dropping finding in the whole study. After everything we just went over, a staggering 70.9% of owners, that's more than 2/3 of them, rated their dog's health as very good or, get this, the best health possible. It's unbelievable. This is exactly what the researchers call the perception gap. On one hand, you have the belief, nearly 2/3 of owners think their dog is healthier than the average Frenchie. But on the other hand, you have the reality, these widespread serious conditions like BOAS, that's brachycephalic obstructive airway syndrome. It's like almost everyone believes their dog is the special exception, not the rule. So you have to ask, how is that even possible? Well, this quote from the study really gets to the heart of it. Basically, owners start to see the symptoms as normal. That snorting, the gasping for air, the super loud snoring. Instead of seeing those as red flags for a breathing problem, they get reframed as just cute, quirky things that are normal for the breed. So what's driving this huge disconnect between what's real and what people see? Well, it all boils down to one incredibly powerful thing: the emotional bond between these dogs and their people.
Okay, now this chart might look a little complicated at first glance, but what it's showing is fascinating. See all those arrows? They're connecting all these different things, like an owner's background, the dog's actual health, to this central idea of perceived emotional closeness. And here's the bottom line. That bond, that closeness, is so incredibly strong that it can actually change how an owner perceives their dog's health. That love can literally create a blind spot, making it harder to see an animal suffering for what it is.
And the study even drilled down into what makes that bond even stronger. For example, owners who don't have kids in the house tend to report feeling even closer to their dog. And it makes sense, right? When a dog's behavior is everything you hoped for, or even better, that bond just gets deeper and deeper, making that positive filter even more powerful.
And that leaves us right here with a really tough question that this whole paradox forces us to ask ourselves. When love is so powerful that it can actually change the definition of what we see as normal or healthy, what does that mean for our responsibilities? Not just to the individual dogs we adore, but for the very future of the breeds that we create.